Cooking soul.
Good morning. It is the final round of coverage and action from the 2025 6th Annual Elite Invitational from Ponte Vedra, Florida, the Inn & Club. Hi, everybody. Nick Gismondi alongside Ria Scott and Steve Scott getting you all set. Players warming up on the range. Tee time's already underway, and the leaders teeing off in just about an hour from right now. We're going to get you all set for this final round of coverage, but first of all, gang, it's I'm in shorts and a polo, and I can feel all of my extremities in full right now. That's a plus.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice to be able. I don't even need this thing on me at all. But
I was almost going to go shirtless, Steve, but I figured I'd wear one today just for posterity's sake.
Well, I think the world appreciates that, Nick. But I think the fact that yes, we've got feeling in our hands today. It is we got wind direction totally different. This is going to be a very different day, and the golf course I think is going to play very different for these players.
Yeah, you know what, Ria? I was actually talking with. It's no secret that I have a family member in this tournament, and he's staying with me, and we got up this morning and we were talking about it over breakfast. He's like, wind's totally different, Nick. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, that plays into his favor. He started on I'm always getting backwards here, but he started on traditional 1 for the tournament, not 1 for the golf course today. And it's funny because they're looking at this kind of thing. I mean, these players are at that level where they're thinking about wind direction, and it's something they haven't yet experienced. How much does that factor?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's something you need to be thinking about. You need to be looking at your forecast and noting that down. Right here on the driving range, we're not feeling that much wind, but being only a block from the ocean, it's going to be up there at some point today. Right now it says it's only 2 to 3 miles an hour, but it's always going to be a factor, and that's kind of what these golf courses are all about.
I mean, weather has been a factor. It's a factor anytime you play golf. I think you watch it on TV, and most of the time I feel like, oh, it's perfect out there. It's been drastic swings this week. From the practice round to today, you might as well have been in a different place, Steve.
Well, many players haven't played this golf course in a different direction, you know, from the south to southeast. It's always been blowing from the north from day one this week. So those who haven't seen this golf course in the past, yes, they're going to be hitting many different clubs off the tee. Certain holes that were, reachable par 5s may not be reachable today. Holes that were playing very difficult may play very easy. So I think, just looking at the golf course and how the golf course is set up with that gauntlet of holes that we've talked about, 15, 16, 17, even back to 14 through 17, really playing in that northerly direction. I think they're going to play much easier today to finish as opposed to the last few days. So I think we're going to be able to maybe see a couple more birdies coming in, and maybe somebody grab this title right at the very end.
Let's talk about the leadership and the leaderboard right now and sort of where things are at. I want to start on the women's side. Everything is really bunched up and tight. We just talked about this golf course probably being more scoreable today. But with a packed leaderboard, if you're out in front, like Tally is right now, the number one player in junior golf for the women, is it all gas, no brakes? Is it conservative golf? How do you tackle this on the women's side?
I think for any great player, they're sticking to their own game. So Asterisk is sticking to her own game plan. Hopefully she's attacking the course because the conditions are so much more favorable today. As we sit out here, you can just feel a little bit more moisture around and on the ground. So with not as much wind too, I think everything's just going to play a little bit softer today. The wind was helping dry out those conditions over the last couple of days, but I think it's going to be really scoreable, and let's see what those hole locations have in store.
Yeah, tee time started right about 8 o'clock. It was pretty much this for most of the morning, and then a quick shower kind of blasted through, doused the golf course, the range. Everything got a little bit wet. Now it's sort of moved out. Clouds in the sky. There is weather supposed to be moving in later today in terms of precipitation. Wind, as we said, is nominal. Temperatures are as warm as they've been in this competition. So we'll see if that does factor. It softens the golf course for sure. But Steve, for you on the boys' side, you've got a very interesting setup and a very interesting field because you've got somebody right now who's tied for the lead that has never gone bell to bell before in any tournament he's ever played in. Maybe that pressure kind of crept in a little bit yesterday as well. We saw him come in with a 2-shot lead and went bogey to finish to get himself into a tie for first.
Yeah, with Braden Forte you're talking about, you're right. I mean, he was the only player in the top 10 who shot over par yesterday. So he's maybe didn't kind of shine coming into the clubhouse, but maybe that can motivate him coming into today as well. When you bogey the last couple holes, that's something you sleep on, you're thinking about, and it'll either motivate him or go the other way. Golf is really funny like that, and you just kind of never know what's going on. But you're right. I mean, I think the fact that he's got if you look at kind of that last threesome, if you will, with Braden Forte, Austin Cron, who he's tied with, and then one shot back, Spencer Shropshire. I mean, you look at Austin Cron, I mean, I think for him, he's the highest ranked in the World Amateur Golf Rankings. He's really been on a tear this year. Shot 67 yesterday as well. So, I mean, we can dive into some of the things that he's done, but I think, and maybe even more important for Austin Cron, he's not committed to a college right now. He's 2027 class, so he's a junior in high school right now, and he's part of the Canadian national team, but he is not committed to a school. Everybody else in the top 5 is. So maybe just a little something extra to prove to some college coach out there that's watching our coverage right now, because I know they can't be here, right, Ria?
Yeah, the men's coaches have what's called a recruiting dead period right now, so they're not allowed to watch golf, but women's coaches can. So again, this is why this coverage is so important, I believe, is so that coaches on the men's side can sit back and watch these guys on YouTube.
Well, they're lucky to do that the last few days with the way the weather was today. I'm sure they wish they were out here. You do talk about that. I want to just finalize on the men's side before we move over. That final threesome, we really saw them hop, skip, and jump around that leaderboard yesterday. Shropshire was in the mix for a while. He dropped out. Cron jumped in. Forte has sort of been the consistent path. And question to both of you: if you were leading, coaching, talking to Braden Forte, and his coach did fly in from Colorado last night, got in at 2 o'clock in the morning today, will be walking alongside of him today. What's the message if you've got a guy that hasn't been in this spot before? And what do you change? What do you tell them? What do you do?
I think you focus on the good, what he did in round 1, shooting 68, leading by 3. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. He held his own very well yesterday. He just he put the ball off the tee in good positions. The tee shots were not the issue at all. There was a few kind of wayward wedge shots that he did. He hit it 25 or 30 feet instead of 5, 10, 15 feet where you have realistic birdie putts. I think that's the focus today. Get some of these wedge shots in there a little bit closer. With the soft conditions you outlined, I think there's going to be lots of chances to play very aggressively, and but those wedges need to be dialed in.
And lastly, before we switch gears over on the women's side, let's not count out the fact that DiLorenzo, Gossett, Kelly, Jaeger Payne, who's going to Virginia, Bradford Lacefield, Paxton Lane. There's a lot of movement. I mean, we're talking about a 2-3 stroke difference, and little mistake nerves can change everything today on that side.
I think today, and if you look at the scoring average of what happened in round 1 versus round 2, I think the same thing, or is very similar, is going to happen today. 75.1 was a stroke average in round 1, with the temperatures being cold and the wind really being fierce from the north. Yesterday, with the winds down a little bit, the course was 2.5 shots easier on both the boys and the girls' side. So you had a whole location, maybe a little bit more hospitable, and now you got a whole different wind direction that's really going to change the dynamic even more. I think this golf course is actually set up easier for the southerly wind. I say somebody goes out there and shoots 64, 65s and takes this thing.
Okay, 1 hour away from tee-off for that final men's group. Coverage begins on Baby Grand. You can catch that live. We will have comprehensive coverage, the three of us, for the entire final round, so make sure you stick with us. Obviously, we'll be with the leaders for most of the day. Any kind of other things that spawn off and happen, we'll have that for you. But again, that coverage begins right around 10 o'clock with those leaders, again, teeing off right around 10:15. Switching over on the women's side. And Ria, listen, again, of course the talk is all about Tally and her predominance, and we knew that yesterday, moving day, she would make a move, and did, finds herself into the lead. But Sophia Dyer and Bella Dove, who are in that final group, they tee off at 9:30, so just about 15 minutes from now. That's a group that's filled with pressure, and what do you do if you're I mean, everybody in that group obviously has merit. What's the mentality in that final pairing there?
The mentality, I think, for anybody trying to win a golf tournament today, you're trying to be the best version of yourself. You're not trying to be asterisk Tally. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're not trying to reach for somebody else's golf game. You're just saying, okay, I'm going to be the best Sophia Dyer or Bella Dovey that I can be out there. Bella has, she doesn't have as many big wins as Asterisk does. Asterisk has at least five big wins on Wagger this year. She's played in 5 pro events. Bella hasn't won anything huge this year, but she's still a very accomplished and solid golfer. She won an FJT event at Bay Point. Sophia Dyer, it's been a while since she's closed out a big win. She won last year at the Florida Women's Amateur in 2024. So those two players from Florida are looking to be very hungry. Also, you got to think, those two really familiar with these Florida conditions. Asterisk, yes, she's competed all over the world, all over the country, but those two being familiar with this Bermuda grass and the winds here, they might have something up their sleeves. And then in the group behind them or in front of them.
Just going to get there?
Yeah.
Go by all means.
So I was going to say, you have some winners in that group too. So you have Macy Rasmussen, who won the Virginia Girls State Championship this year. And Allie Wertel, how about this? She shot 59 in a high school state tournament this year, this past August. So that turned a lot of heads. I got to see her in the first round, and she's a really long, dynamic player that's really fun to watch. So I could see her with her length making a good run at it today too.
Tons of possibility for movement. There's so many factors that come into play. You think about professionals who find themselves in the final group of the Masters or the U.S. Open or any major. Even players of that caliber find nerves creeping in. I guess my question to you all, as you've been around junior and collegiate golfers, do those nerves, do they potentially amplify more when you're younger? Do you learn how to deal with that better? Or for these players that are in this position to try to come away with an elite win at a predominant tournament, where's that level of nerves, do you think, if you had to put it on a scale compared to a pro?
Well, I think the goal is for these players is to put themselves in a position where they can feel this pressure. You know that saying, pressure is a privilege? So we say, hey, this is awesome that you're putting yourself in this position, and the only way how to learn or deal with this is to continue putting yourself in this position. So I think for any of these players, this is great practice to go out and win a big tournament today.
Steve, let's talk about this golf course a little bit. The weather factors in, and it'll change the way that it's played. But we have analyzed this course from top to bottom. We just took a look at all the pins. Obviously, we knew that CEO and founder, as well as the tournament director of the Elite Invitational, was going to do some big things. He tucked pins today. It's not going to be an easy golf course that is already playing tough.
Yeah, I mean, the whole locations will be tough. I think this moisture that we received early this morning here and just recently, it's going to soften some of the course up. The greens are still very quick. I mean, these greens are 11 to 12 on the stent meter. So, yes, with some tricky hole locations, some tough green complexes that are perched up. You miss the greens, you're going to have to hit some kind of, bump and run styles like a Pinehurst number 2 style, like some inverted saucers out there around the greens. And there's some difficult shots. But I think now this is the third tournament day these players will have under their belt here. I think they've got some sort of feel for this golf course. And, look, this is Championship Thursday here at the Elite Invitational. There's no tomorrow. So everybody's going to give it all they've got today, and maybe they'll try to attack a couple extra pins. It's going to be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out with how tight it is.
I want to switch gears a little bit. I've kind of, when we went off there yesterday, and having the privilege of knowing a lot of the players in this field, have been sort of picking brains a little bit. And the predominant comment, and we touched on it a little bit yesterday, is what these players have sort of nicknamed either the gauntlet or the stretch. And when you look at the scorecards from everybody, including the leaders like Forte, it is 15 tournament, 15, 16, 17, and 18 that has proved to be deadly and round breakers for these guys. So we do have a little bit of time left. Let's go through these holes one more time and just talk through it. And let's start on, and again, the nines have been flipped. So hole number 9 is hole number 18 for the purposes of this tournament. So what we're talking about right now is hole number 15 for the tournament, if you're familiar with Ponte Vedra golf course. But it's a par 4, 465 for the men, 384 for the women. That pin today will be on the far left, just in front of the false front. This was a par 5, now it's a long par 4. What is it about this hole that makes it so tricky from both of your perspectives?
Well, I think it's what you just said right there. It's a converted par 5 into a par 4. So when you have a par 5 green, typically they're going to be a little bit smaller in scale. There's going to be a little bit more danger around it. And yes, I mean, the hole is already pretty long right there. I mean, 465 yards for the men right there, like you said. So it's a beefy hole. It won't play as much into the wind today, though. That's the one respite that these players. So with that said, I mean, they could hit a driver instead of having to hit 4-iron into a tough green or 5 or 6-iron in. They're going to be able to hit 8-9 wedge maybe with a long tee shot. Again, I think there's going to be a flip on some of these holes, but the 15th has definitely proved very challenging. There's only been 6 birdies through 2 rounds on the boys' side.
Ria, it's the smallest green, one of the smallest greens on the golf course, and it is easily the toughest hole on the golf course. Knowing that if you're coming down the stretch, let's say you're a Asterix or Braden Forte, and you find yourself in the lead and you know this stretch is coming up, what's your play here on this par 4 15?
Yeah, as Steve was saying, so it being downwind today is a really big game changer. This green is only 19 deep. That pin is going to be tucked on the left today, so truly anywhere on the green is great. The tournament organizers put all of these hole locations just above the ridge, just above that false front, so truly, like Steve said, these greens typically were not designed to have a longer mid-iron in, but here we are, and that's what that's the challenge. It's part of the challenge. So I would say middle of the green is the best play there.
There is a little bit of a ridge in the middle of that green, so you can't go dead center. You got to pick a little bit left or right, and then we move on to the par 4 16th, 410 for the men, 360 for the women. This is typically back into the wind, demands a great second shot, also has a false front, so you need to carry it about 8 paces. Anything not on this green in 2 is a very tough up and down.
This green is very perched up, so yes, any miss will kind of fall off. You'll have a very difficult short game shot from around the green. A lot of interesting contours on the green as well. It's offered up only 11 birdies for the first 2 rounds, 4/10 of a shot over par for the tournament. So yes, it's it's been tough. There's ample room off the tee, but But it's all about the approach shot, getting it in there and finding the surface, because if you don't, the up and down is very tough to come by.
A lot of undulation on this green, Ria. The only real trouble off the tee is a trap, 2 traps on that left-hand side that you don't want to be in, because that's a tricky bunker, fairway bunker shot to a difficult green already.
Yeah, this is 360 for the women. This is going to be really interesting playing downwind. I feel like where the women are going to be hitting this, they're going to be able to get it up there to that 100-yard zone for some of the longer players. Again, the green complex is really where it's tricky. That whole location today, you got to be really, really precise, because it sits, again, above the false front and around a couple ridges. So precision, again, is the name of the game into the screen.
All right, let's take a look to number 17, par 4, 458 for the men, 400 for the women. Demanding tee shot if the wind is a factor. You're trying to cut the corner. That's not going to work. And, of course, it's protected on both sides of the fairway. Missing left or right is not a good situation off the tee.
Well, it's easy to miss left because the room and the fairway that you actually want to play to is hidden by a fairway bunker. So visually, it's a tough tee shot. It's always difficult to hit a shot with the tee shot in an area where you can't see. And you don't trust how much room, because there's out of bounds over to the right if you get it too far to the right. So I think that people are hitting the ball more to the left where they can actually see it. But what's happening is running through the fairway into a tree, kind of a jungly tree complex over there. I saw players yesterday even on one of the holes on the Lagoon course, which is adjacent to it. So it's very easy to miss it well to the left, and now you're totally blocked out. And then you've got a cross bunker if you're trying to hit a bump in like a long kind of 150-yard shot through the trees. It's a very tough shot, but it's just hard to hit the tee shot where you can't see it.
Obviously, this green has undulation as well. We've talked about where Mason Carmel is putting pins. You take a look at the pin position today, similar to the pin position that it was at yesterday. A little deeper on the green yesterday. This time he's put it closer to that false front and right up against that ridge that falls off to the right.
Yes. So I think the players are going to have a little bit of familiarity, since that whole location yesterday was on that same section of the green up there on the left. But kind of like Steve said, the challenge of this hole is that little dog leg. And today, the wind is going to be an additional factor coming from a different direction. So truly trusting their line off the tee is going to be a challenge because of, like Steve said, the run through, the how aggressive can I be with my line. So I know that some players are going to stand on that tee box just looking for a little more decisiveness, and I think that's what it's going to take to really win this golf tournament, is decisiveness off this tee to be able to have a strong finish.
All right, and moving on to the 18th, the par 3, and this is an interesting one. You talk to so many of the different players here, and they've said that it's not necessarily super normal to have the finishing hole on a golf course be a par 3. It is in this case. It's 144 for the men, 125 for the women. That pin is going to be tucked. This is going to be an interesting finish, and it certainly creates an opportunity to see some fireworks possibly on the 18th.
I think it's pretty cool, though. It's the original island green, 1928, when this golf course was built. The inspiration for the one just down the road at the TPC Sawgrass that Pete and Alice Dye really kind of gravitated towards. But it's not as dangerous as that island green there that we've seen every year in the Players' Championship. You got a tough hole location today, though. The hole, it played the second easiest yesterday. There was 12 birdies on the day yesterday with a front left hole location and only 4 bogeys. So the hole played under par is one of the only 2 holes to play under par, with the 5th hole as well, which is a par 5. So, yes, it's a cool finish. But I think we're going to be able to see somebody make a birdie. I mean, it's only going to be, the pin in the back, 140 yards-ish kind of max. So let's say 9-iron max for these players. And they can go flag hunting, and maybe even we see a hole-in-one to win this golf tournament.
Wouldn't that throw a little something down on this?
Let's.
All right.
I don't know, maybe
$1.
All right. I wouldn't.
Right. I've already made a few bets already today.
But
so
that would be a pretty cool walk-off if somebody could do that.
And just real quick, Ria, for you, let's just talk about that pin location. On day number 1, during the practice round as well, we saw a lot of misses to the right into that bunker, and that proves to be a tricky shot out of there, especially with that slope that's on that right-hand side, as well as that tucked top right pin position.
Yeah, if so. I think players from the whole location on round number 1, where it was pretty close to that section, hopefully they've learned their lesson and won't hit it to that bunker again. But as Nick was saying here, if you do end up in that bunker, it's a really tricky shot that runs away from you. Part of what's tricky about this too is you're standing on the tee and you can't see the bottom of the flag. There's a little bit of slope there that just doesn't allow you to see that full right section of the green, and this is another place where you really have to just trust your number, trust what you see on your whole location sheet, and execute it.
All right, well, you got to love live TV, and I have the privilege of having a little bit of insight with the wonderful kids in Colorado, since that's sort of where my home is and where I've been lucky enough to watch junior golf. Braden Forte's coach, Kelly McCandless, come on in. Short sleep for you, Kel. You got in at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and now you're ready to go and watch Braden. We were talking about him earlier. We were talking about you coming in earlier, and it's just, first of all, it's great to have you here. Thanks for jumping in real quick like this.
Oh yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Everybody's going to have a question for you, but just talking about sort of, it's something that I've talked about with Braden before, having an opportunity to watch him since he was younger, and I know you've done the same thing. First of all, congratulations on all of his success. I know how much he means to you, and I know how much you've been instrumental in helping him get to where he's at.
I sure hope so. He's just a good human being.
Yes.
I tell people this all the time, but he's so great about giving back to all the other younger kids that I have in my program, and grateful to be a part of the process. Crazy story. So his mom and my wife used to go to the swimming pool together when they were in junior high.
Yep.
So this is like crazy, like, full 180 in my career, but pretty cool. So excited to be here and support the kids too.
Steve and Ria will have a question for you, but first, where is his mentality? He's been in positions to win tournaments before. To my recollection, can't remember him going bell to bell. So just what was the message to him and kind of coming into today and after yesterday, the way that it finished?
I think he is a comeback kid. He always has been. I think this is a great experience for him to kind of learn and see what his body and brain does through this process. But, I think having him bogey the last 2 holes is an advantage for him. He's not much on letting things. He kind of gets back at the course. So good luck to it today. I really have a feeling about it. So he is always the kind of kid that you give him a challenge and he is going to thrive. And if he fails the first time, he's going to just kill it the second time.
Well, Kelly, great to have you here for sure. What when you deal with a junior golfer, I'm sure you work with countless other juniors out there where you live. The fact that that Braden is going to San Diego State University and coaching him into that role and into the collegiate ranks. I mean, how proud are you that you can develop a junior golfer, and how long have you been working with him, and talk about that development process a little bit, maybe from a coaching perspective.
I started with him when he was going, I think it was either going into 5th grade or going into 6th grade, and he was kind of a raw new golfer. Like his side tilt was like 30 degrees left at the top of his swing. So
we have some things to talk about later too, by the way.
But so anyways, he has worked so hard. I always tell people, the first lesson I can tell somebody's pretty talented. The second lesson is when I know they're going to be really good. If they've come back and worked on the things that I asked him to, and I told him, I said, this is going to be a lot of mirror work. You're going to try to get this chest over that right hip, and it's going to take some time, and just be gentle with it. You don't have to come out to the golf course to get better, and it's pretty amazing what he's been able to do.
Great. Kelly, what can we expect to see from Braden today in terms of just strengths of his golf game? And then secondly, what is there anything else he needs to do to prepare for college in the next, 8, 9, 10 months?
I think everybody, if you're watching the live feed, I think you're going to see how dedicated he is to his process. And you're going to find those to be your most elite players, right? Somebody, I think his mom actually texted me and saying, "Oh my God, people are so impressed with how deliberate he is with his putting routine." I said, "Oh yeah, it's good. We've worked hard on that." Things for him to prepare. I think to be honest, he struggles with different grasses. I think kids in Colorado it's hard for us to travel. I mean, Colorado's expensive in general. And then it's kind of like California, but California has tournaments there. We're working at it here in Colorado. We're lucky to have 3 AJGAs that come into Colorado, but the more we can get outside of our state, the more challenges we continue to deal with. Besides, we've got altitude too. So I always tell kids, like, if we're carrying over 330 at home, then we're probably 300 at sea level. So if we can continue to keep pushing the speed element, we're going to be good. But I think he's done a great job of that. But I think that's the biggest challenge. I think any kid comes from Colorado is just different grasses. And if you haven't traveled enough, you're going to struggle a little bit. But I think he's, I don't know if you guys knew this, but he graduates early. Mm-hmm. So he is going to spend this next semester traveling between Phoenix and out here. And his grandparents live in the Villages. So it's a great opportunity for him to get some great experience. And he came to me last spring and goes, "What do you think?" I said, "Dude, if I could, I would." Like, don't question it. I'm like, "But it's your deal." I'm like, college, high school experience is great, so don't forget to enjoy the things that you deserve to have a high school career. So and you deserve to have a spring semester. So if you want it, like, do it. But I told him, I said, if I would, I would do it in a heartbeat.
He told me, he's like, "You kidding me? Want to go to school and I could go play golf?" I'm like, "Yeah, good call. You made the right choice, buddy."
And I think it's only going to propel him into the fall semester there at San Diego State. So excited to see kind of how that progresses.
Kelly, thank you so much. You probably don't hear it enough, especially in Colorado, for all that you do for junior golf in terms of not only your development with the players, but you have a wonderful tour that you started as well alongside your wife. And the Summit Junior Tour has been instrumental in helping.
Did you know that I got named Team Colorado coach for the USNDP?
I was just going to get to that next, actually. So congratulations on that as well.
So I'm really delighted to be able to, rub elbows with people that know more than I do. Like, how awesome would that be? So I'm really excited to and get to have some experience with some kids outside of my little community that I have, and to be able to help them on course management, strategies and stuff like that. I'm excited. So delighted to continue to work with the CGA along with the USGA, and really, I'm really excited.
It's been a pleasure getting to see you do what you've done, being in the state of Colorado, and truly full marks to you, and congratulations on all of the success, both personal and professional, Kel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys have done a great job. I'm like impressed beyond impressed. So. Yeah.
We're trying. We're going to do some Summit Junior Tours next up. That's next up on the list.
We're so high up there.
Doesn't matter. Listen, y'all, we'll have you stay here as we say goodbye and we get you prepared for our live coverage. That will start right around the 10 o'clock hour. Make sure you go to babygrand.com to check that out. And, of course, make sure you're staying with us on all of our socials, especially on Instagram, where we've got features, some fun stuff, what's in the bags with players, updates, and more from every tournament that we're at. It's been a pleasure coming to you from the range these past 2 days. The final round of the 2025 Elite Invitational set to kick off here in just about 30 minutes. The leaders, including Mr. Braden Forte, they are set to go. They tee off at 10:15 on the number 1 tee. Make sure you stay with us. We'll see you over on the live stream here in just about a half an hour. For Kelly, who is an impromptu special guest that I put on the spot, and I really hope she's not mad at me when we're done. For Steve Scott, Ria Scott, and our entire team here at Baby Grand, I'm Nick Gismondi. We will see you on the course for the final round of the Elite Invitational from Ponte Vedra, Florida, in about 20 minutes.